There was more than one attempt to build a pass, and if you look there to your left hand side, you will see the original road which was built on the other side of the river. Welcome back to Werner's View channel. I'm finding myself here in the churchyard of the Oude Kerk in Tbach. Now, if you've not seen how I ended up in Tbach, please make sure to watch the first video or the previous video in this series, where I rode all the way from Wellington to Tbach, also riding the beautiful Nuwekloof Pass. But yeah, the trip is now continuing, and in this second trip I'm going to depart now from Tbach. I just want to go and have a look at one or two other beautiful places just outside of Tbach. This trip will take us all the way to Kasteel, the beautiful little town there on the foot of the Kasteelberg. But I will tell you more about this as we go. But before we leave Tbach, as I promised in the previous video, let's just take a ride down the historic Church Street. Now, Church Street in Tbach is famous for being the street in the country that has the largest number of heritage sites in one street. Let's go and have a look. Let's just continue our ride through Tbach by just riding down this historic Church Street. Now, Church Street is probably one of the most famous historic streets and probably one of the most important historic streets in South Africa, simply because the buildings in this street, most of them are heritage sites. They were built in the second half of the 18th century, so they are very old. Many thatched roof houses, and it contains the richest collection of historic and heritage buildings of Cape Dutch, Victorian and Edwardian styles in the whole of South Africa. So this whole street is a museum. So much of what you see here is of, well, quite long ago historical value and simply beautiful. Now, of course, if you know the history of Tbach, there's also quite a tragedy that took place here on 29 September 1969, where an earthquake actually hit this region and this town, which was about 6.5 on the Richter scale, significantly damaging most of these buildings. So a lot of what you see here actually had to be rebuilt, and that was one of the biggest projects of its kind in South Africa at the time. But I think you will agree with me, well, just the way these buildings have been restored is simply spectacular. Just look how beautiful. Now, Church Street in Tbach. This is certainly a place that one needs to come to. You will not be disappointed. And then here at the end of Church Street, there's also a beautiful Cape Dutch building, and which is the parsonage. I'm just going to exit Tbach on this side. So here on the right hand side you actually see the more modern Dutch Reformed Church of Tbach, because the Oude Kerk, the one that was built in 1743, was of course the original church, but today it is a museum. So I'm taking this road deeper into the Tbach Valley, which is called the Winterhoek Road, for a very specific reason, because it takes us actually to another old and historic building in Tbach, which is called the Oude Drostdy. Now, the Drostdy is the building that was typically occupied by the magistrates of the town or the region, and this Drostdy was already built in 1804. So let's go and have a look. But yeah, welcome back. It's great to be on the road and to bring this trip to you today. Enjoy this trip with me. Thanks for watching. The Oda Drosdy is only about 4 kilometers out of town, so we should see it soon. Now, the history in this town and this area goes back so far. I mean, it was already named the Land van Waveren in 1699. Some of the earliest farmers were were settled here after Jan van Riebeeck came to the Cape. Yeah, we should be very close now to the Oda Drosdy. But just look at the mountains and the Tbach valley. Yeah, I can see the Oude Drostdy already there across this little valley. You might not be able to see it on the camera, but there it is. What a beautiful building, a thatch roof building, of course, also a Cape Dutch architecture and style. This is a very, very nice building. Let's just make a stop here. Built in 1804. Let's have a closer look. Now that was an interesting, beautiful look at the Oda Drosdy, but let's continue. I have a few more twists and turns that I would like to do here in the Tbach Valley. And I just want to ride through it a bit because there are such a lot of historic and beautiful farms in this area, because this is a very fertile valley. And there's one particular farm that I just want to go and make a bit of a turn. So, but for this I need to make a turn to the left here. So let's see. So this is the Winterhoek Road continuing, and the farm that I'm going to is called Twee Jonge Gezellen. Now if you want to translate that Dutch into English, it simply means two young bachelors. And indeed, this farm was established by two young bachelors as long ago as 1710. A very, very long history on this farm, and it's very famous for producing wine. It's a popular place to go and buy some wine and also get a sense of what the farms look like in the Tbach Valley. Yes, and it seems I missed the turn off there, but it doesn't matter, there's quite a number of roads here, so simply make the turn here on the left as guided by the GPS. But this is quite a sharp turn. Okay, I think this is bringing us back on track. Well, taking us onto a dirt road. How nice is this? We should always have some dirt roads in my back pocket to make this interesting, and this was a bit unexpected. I didn't know that there are some dirt roads on the route that I was planning for today. But of course, I'm doing this ride with my Honda CRF 300 Rally, and this bike is always ready for any road. This is the same bike that I did all previous videos that I've posted on the channel, so yeah, I've said it many times, I feel I can go anywhere with this bike, and it is a very trustworthy bike, so all good. But this dirt road is in an excellent condition, so one can keep a steady speed. Yeah, but with some elevation you can get a bit of a glimpse on how this valley stretches out. And this is of course the Tbach valley, and it connects on further to Worcester, to the Brede valley. So both these valleys are extremely fertile valleys, and lots of grapes, wine, but also fruit being produced in this area. Yeah, the mountains, simply spectacular. Just taking it a bit slower, just make sure that the loose gravel on this dirt road don't catch me out. But we are almost at the next turn in the road. And I think this is the end of the dirt road, but what a fun little ride. Perfect condition, this road, and yeah, just giving us a little bit more adventure. But let's make the turn now to the farm of Twee Jonge Gezellen. It's only about 4 kilometers down this road, so really not far to go. And look at that beautiful little chapel or church there. Now this must be some wedding venue here in the vineyards. Beautiful, with the mountains in the backdrop. Simply spectacular. So even though it looks like the mountains are a bit lower there in the neck area there in the mountains, it is still too steep for a road to exit this valley. So this valley can only be exited towards the other side. And this is why it is such a contained and isolated valley. There's a narrow bridge here, but yeah, they are simply letting me through. This is very friendly. And there on the right hand side is Twee Jonge Gezellen, with lots of buildings, old and historic buildings here. A very famous farm, as I said, established already by 2 bachelors in 1710. You can see even a restaurant area, it seems, there. Beautiful, beautiful. So this is the waypoint that I put for this part of the Tbach Valley. I'm not going to enter Twee Jonge Gezellen, but I'm simply going to make a turnaround here so that we can head back now in the other direction. As I said, this is the only way to get out of the Tulbagh Valley, and we are now going to head out to the Nuwekloof Pass area. But yeah, just have another look here at Twee Jonge Gezellen. Let's go. As I said, the trip for today will take us to the town of Riebeekasteel, and to get to Riebeekasteel one needs to cross through the Ubiqua Mountains, or the southern parts of the Olifants River Mountains, and that one does by passing through the Nuwekloof Pass. So I'm just looking forward to the ride to the pass. But you can see there is the mountain range that we need to cross. And I think there where it is at its lowest, the Nuwekloof Pass is situated. But let's enjoy this ride out of the beautiful, beautiful and historic Tbach Valley. We are now back at the chapel. I'm not so sure that that is a genuine church, but I think it is part of a wedding venue setup. But how beautiful is that? The little building in the vineyard. And now we need to make a turn to the right to head in the direction of Nuwekloof Pass. Montpellier is this place, indeed. I think this is a wedding venue. Yeah, but the views on the Tulbagh Valley remains fantastic. Yeah, no, this is such a joy to ride. Now, so this is the Cirrus Wellington connection here, the R46, and we need to make a turn to the right to get to Ribekasteel, and the only way to get there is through the Nuwekloof Pass. But the R46 is quite a busy road. Now, long before a pass was built here, this was also the obvious place to come through on foot and to, well, simply walk through or take your cattle or so through the mountains. So the history of this pass, we should actually call it the Poort, because it's not lots of elevation here. It is simply a path that was carved through by a river. So yeah, a Poort maybe, but it is called the Nuwekloof Pass. Now, this is the start of the Nuwekloof Pass, as the road, you can see, twists and turns here through the Ubiqua mountain, with the Kleinberg river running there down below. As I said, this pass has got a long history, and the focus on building a pass through this mountain also dates back to the early 1700s, and there was more than one attempt to build a pass. And if you look there to your left hand side down below, you will see the original road, which was actually built on the other side of the river. One can see some beautiful stonework as part of how that pass was built. Also, the railway track runs down there. So there were different attempts to build a pass through the Nuwekloof Pass. Now, this pass was originally called the Rodezand Pass, obviously also referring to the name of Tbach that was originally Rodezand, but at some point it was also called the Tbach Pass. So that part of the pass that is now the older road was then later called the Oude Drostdy Pass, and then of course the newer part then became the Nuwekloof Pass. And the builder of this pass was Thomas Bain. So yeah, the Bains, they are always prominently there where passes are built. So this was built by Thomas Bain, and this modern part of the pass that we are riding on now was built in 1968. Of course, the railway track was built later than the original pass, and apparently that was built in 1873 to 1874, also then connecting the Tbach Valley, the Brede Valley, onto the Swartland, which is of course now the area that we are going into now. Now, the Swartland is also a very important region in South Africa, of course, specifically for wheat production, and we will certainly see more of the Swartland not only in this trip but also on some of the routes that I'm planning for some of my other trips. So the Nuwekloof Pass is a very short pass. As you can see, it's probably 4 kilometers or so. We're already through the Ubiqua Mountains and now on the other side of the Tbach Valley. And the town that is right here at the exit of the Nuwekloof Pass is the town of Oda. And I think in recent years Gouda has become prominent as a place where a big wind farm has been set up. So you can, not sure how easy you can see it, but there are lots and lots and lots of these wind generators. Now typically the wind blows a lot here, but apparently not today. These wind farms are now standing still. But this is a particularly windy area. I'm not sure whether the wind is maybe directed a bit here through the poort of the Ubiqua Mountains where the Nuwekloof Pass is running through, but today we are lucky. The conditions are simply perfect. And there in the distance you can see the Kasteelberg already. That is where we are heading, and that is where I will also stay over tonight, in the town of Kasteel. But before we head in that direction, I first want to make a stop here at the Voelvlei Dam, which is the dam here on our left hand side. It's not really visible from the road. Now, I want to see it. I've never seen this dam, but the Voelvlei Dam is a very important dam in the Western Cape. It is actually the second biggest reservoir in the Western Cape after the Kloof Dam. Now, the Kloof Dam is huge. I mean, it is almost 3 times as big as the Voelvlei Dam, but the Voelvlei Dam is the second biggest. Now, the Voelvlei Dam area is interesting because it's always been a place where there's been water. The capacity of this dam was increased significantly by adding an earth wall to this. So there's no single, say, concrete structure of a dam wall. It is simply an earth wall that was built, that you can see here on my left hand side. So it is quite a long earth wall. It's almost 3 kilometers long, and it reaches a height, I think, of only at the highest point about 10 meters high. But that increased the capacity of this dam significantly. The dam is fed by the Kleinberg River, the river that runs through the Nuwekloof Pass, but also some of the other rivers that come from the Groot Winterhoek mountain that is now behind us, and the water is channeled towards the Voelvlei Dam to optimize the collection of water during the rainy season. While I'm just exploring with you now, I can just see on my GPS that there is a turn-off with some more roads leading closer to the dam. So I'm just taking a bit of a chance. There are certainly some buildings there, so I'm not sure. Those buildings are probably associated with the, I suppose, management of the dam. But yeah, let me see. It certainly says Voelvlei Dam turn off here, so that sounds promising. Let's see whether we can find a spot to actually, well, see the dam, because one is actually a bit, well, hidden away here behind the earth wall, so it's not obviously visible, the actual water itself. Let's just see. Now let me take the road here to the left. Yeah, one can certainly see the dam wall quite prominently. But there's lots of fences here. No, there's no access at this point. Let me see if I go over to this side. This little road is taking us past some of these houses, which are all built along the dam wall, but it seems like the little dirt road is now turning away. Yeah, I think I'm just going to make a stop here because I've got a plan. But of course, if I struggle to see something, there's always another option. Let's set out Gogga, the drone, to go and have a look. I'm really curious to see what this dam looks like. Let's go.